لا نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الكلام كلام الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار وبعد. Indeed, ikhwan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam from a number of mafasid and from a number of evils. And that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated by way of the sharia has in that without doubt a protection of a number of evil affairs and corrupt mannerisms. Concerning those mafasid, whether it be mafasid ikhwan or evils connected to the aqidah, whether it be evils connected to the minhaj, whether it be evils connected to the affairs of the ibadat, or whether it be that which is evil and corrupt as it relates to the muamalat, the dealings, all of those affairs, all of those types of mafasid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that which He has legislated has protected the affairs and those affairs from those mafasid. From that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is an affair that was mentioned by the Imam al-Dhahabi at the tail end of the mention of al-Rajula min al-Nisa, of those women who are effeminate and those men of those women who have masculine tendencies and those men who are effeminate. We have a mention of that which is connected to one of the major fitan of this ummah, that which the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam informed us of. As he mentioned, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as occurs in the hadith of Usama ibn Zayd, wherein the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, مَا تَرَكْتُ بَعْدِي فِتْنَةً أَدَرَّ عَلَى الرِّجَالِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. That indeed I have not left a fitna that is more harmful upon the men than the women. I have not left a fitna after me that is more harmful upon the men than the women. The fitna of the nisa, the fitna of the women. For indeed when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enumerates the things that are beautified in the eyes of men, from the things that they covet, from the things of the dunya, Allah Azza wa Jal mentions at the beginning of them the fitna or the thing or the mention of the nisa. زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَالْبَنِينَ وَالْقَنَاطِيرِ الْمُقَنْطَرَةِ مِنَ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ وَالْخَيْلِ الْمُسَوَّمَةِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ وَالْحَرْثِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, beautified indeed for mankind are the things that they covet. And then Allah begins مِنَ النِّسَاءِ, from women. وَالْبَنِينَ, and children. And likewise the trinkets from the things of the dunya, gold and silver. And likewise horses and agriculture. And other than that from the affairs that Allah Azza wa Jal mentions. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins in the ayah with a mention of an-nisa. And likewise, ikhwan, we have the hadith of Abi Sa'id al-Khudri that occurs in Sahih Bukhari, in Sahih Muslim, when the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إن الدنيا حلوة خضرة وإن الله مستخلفكم فيها فينظر كيف تعملون فاتقوا الدنيا واتقوا النساء فإن أول فتنة بني إسرائيل كانت في النساء. That he mentions that indeed the dunya is حلوة خضرة, is sweet and green. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مُسْتَخْلِفَكُمْ فِيهَا. And indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made you, has مُسْتَخْلِفَكُمْ, made you khalifas in the earth. Individuals who take over one from another and who are vicegerents one to another in the earth. فَيَنْظُرْ كَيْفَ تَعْمَلُونَ. So indeed he will see how you will act. So fear the dunya and fear women. For indeed the first fitna of Bani Israel was with women. So concerning that we have the statement, and that fitna without doubt, ikhwan, returns back to the statement of the Imam. Primarily returning back to the statement of the Imam, where he mentions, after mentioning, as we said, al-rajula and the ahadith that are connected to that, he mentions فَمِنَ الْأَفْعَالِ الَّتِي تُلْعَنُ عَلَيْهَا الْمَرْأَةِ إِظْهَارُهَا الزِّينَةِ وَالذَّهَبِ وَاللُّؤْلُؤِ مِنْ تَحْتِ النِّقَابِ وَتَتْيِيبُهَا بِالْمِسْكِ وَالْعَنْبَرِ وَنَحْوِ ذَلِكَ. That he mentions that indeed from the affairs and from the actions that a woman may be cursed for carrying out is her making apparent her beautification. Her zina from dhahab, yani from gold, and from lu'lu', yani from pearls, min taht al-niqab, from below her niqab. And likewise her wearing perfume, wearing misk and amber and the likes of that. So here we have the mention of that which, although the Imam did not mention it as a separate kabira, separate major sin, it is likewise without doubt from the kaba'ir and from the major sins as it relates to the women. And that is the kabira of al-tabarruj. The kabira of al-tabarruj, yani that of the women making apparent their beautification. That of the women, their jilbab, making apparent that which they have upon them by way of adornment and beautification. All of that haramun, haramun, haram upon the women of this ummah. Concerning that, we have the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal. وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنْ وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَا تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. And remain in your homes. A command from Allah Azza wa Jal. A command for the women of this ummah. Any woman who claims to believe in Allah Azza wa Jal and the last day, any woman who seeks the face of Allah Azza wa Jal and the hereafter, any woman that seeks foes, seeks success, any woman that seeks to emulate the sahabiyat and the wives of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then let them reflect over the likes of this statement. The statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنْ. And remain in your homes. And remain in your homes. وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَا تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. And do not make the tabarruj of the jahiliyyah al-ula. Do not make the tabarruj, that tabarruj of exposing one's beauty and one's beautification. That was done in the early jahiliyyah and the first jahiliyyah. Be aware of that and stay away from that, for indeed Allah Azza wa Jal has warned you against that. وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَا تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. Concerning the ayah, Mujahid rahimahullah mentions كانت المرأة لها مشي, that the mar'a, the woman, she would have a walk. Yani in jahiliyyah, she would come out and she would have a walk that she would put on in front of the men. And he mentions فَذَلِكَ tabarruj al-jahiliyyah. He said, for indeed that is the tabarruj of jahiliyyah. That they would have a walk that they would display in front of the men. And that in and of itself, ikhwan, as was mentioned by Mujahid, is from the tabarruj of jahiliyyah. So from that tabarruj, ayyul ikhwan, wal akhawat, is that the women leave out not adorning themselves or not dressing with the proper hijab, the hijab al-shar'i, that hijab that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded them with, that hijab and that jalbab that should cover the whole of her awrah, cover her from her head to her toe, and should not show even the feet of that woman, for indeed her feet are from her awrah. The feet of the woman should not be exposed. Rather, they should be covered as the feet are from the awrah, other than the hands and the face, returning back to the affair of ikhtilaf or difference that has occurred as it relates to the face. But without doubt, the woman of piety, the woman of taqwa, the woman who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and is chaste, and the woman who is modest, is that woman that covers her face. For indeed, when the ayat of hijab came down, as occurs in the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, for the women, when the men would pass, they would cover their faces with a portion of their garment. That they would cover their faces in the presence of the men, highlighting that it is from the way of the women of taqwa to cover their faces. Likewise, ikhwan, from the tabarruj is that the women walk, that they walk in a particular manner, as was mentioned by Mujahid, and that without doubt is emphasized and exaggerated by women who wear high heels. For indeed the women who wear high heels have with them that which will emphasize their manner of walking. Likewise, from the tafasir that have occurred and from the explanations of the tabarruj al-jahiliyyah is that they would wear bells upon their feet. So when they walk, those bells would be heard. And when they would walk and those bells are heard, they are an attraction for the men. And that resembles without doubt, ayyuhal ikhwah, those women who wear high heels. For indeed, the high heels are an attractive affair for the men, affecting their walk, and likewise producing a sound that attracts the attention. And I'll remind you of the hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, as occurs in the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud, "Sinfani min ahli al-Jannah," that there are two types of individuals from the people of Jannah, from the people of the Nar. Lam arahuma, two categories or two types of the people of the Nar that indeed I have not seen yet. He mentioned the qawm, people with siyat, having with them whips, كَأَذْنَابِ الْبَقَرِ يَضْرِبُونَ بِهَا النَّاسِ, a people who have whips with them, like the tails of cows, wherewith they beat people. And the second individual, the second category of individual that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, he mentioned وَنِسَاءٌ كَاسِيَاتٌ عَارِيَاتٌ مُمِيلَاتٌ مَائِلَاتٌ رؤوسهن كأسنمة البخت المائلة لا يدخلن الجنة ولا يجدن ريحها وإن ريحها ليوجد من مسيرة كذا وكذا. That the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the second category are women who he described as being كاسيات عاريات, women who are kasiyat, who are dressed, but in actuality they are ariyat, they are naked. Ma'ilatun mumilat, women who have a walk that makes them ma'ilatun mumilat, which refers to a sway that they have in their walk. Their heads like the beehive, or resembling beehives, and indeed they will not enter Jannah, neither will they smell its smell, and indeed the smell of Jannah can be found from the distance of such and such and such and such, as the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Concerning the hadith, we have the statement of Ibn Abdul Barr.